What's up, gangsters? How about 10 minutes of random? Okay, so I have been working on lots of different things over the past few weeks, so this will be a very random 10 minutes of random. One of the things I'm most excited about is this right here. This is the back wheel from my Tamiya 1/6 Honda Monkey. And as you can see, I have a sprocket on it, and I am super stoked about it. How could I not be? This is a bunch of things coming together. This is about 225 parts altogether. I don't know if I've showed you guys this, but this is the Tamiya 1/6 scale detail chain. I think I have mentioned it a couple of times. Just how freaking cool is that? It's got metal rollers, so they're perfect representations of the chrome steel rollers that are on a real chain. I've tried to model this one to represent a Renthal Gold Series chain. So I've got several different colors, with the side plates and the link plates. Anyway, it was really good to see that it fit nicely on the sprocket, which I created using Fusion 360, and I'm just still blown away by all this. I mean, I've been involved with computer-aided design and 3D printing for 30 years, and my very first CAD software experience was with AutoCAD from Autodesk. And to be able to use Fusion 360 on my Mac from home for free because they have a hobbyist license is just unbelievable. And then to be able to send those files to somebody like John Geigel at Masterpiece Models and have them turned into 3D printed parts like this, yeah, phenomenal. And this is the first one of these that I've taken all the way through to the finishing stage with prime and paint and everything. And I didn't really do much. I had to get rid of all of the little bumps and nubs from the supports on the backside, but fortunately, because it's not perfectly smooth, you can't really see that very well at all. The front side looks nice, and the pitch on the teeth turned out to be pretty good, so my measuring was nice. I drilled and tapped the hub for these little 1.4 millimeter bolts, and I've got these 1.4 millimeter brass washers. Those are, obviously something that you probably would not see on the real thing, but I've used them for two things. Number one, they keep my little bitty nut driver from scratching the paint while I'm screwing the bolts in. But number two, they just look freaking awesome. Right? Duh, that's the best reason of all, right? They just look super, super trick. So I'm really happy with the way that this little part of the Honda Monkey project has come together. It's just, it's fun to see something like that has stretched out over literally years start to come to life. I got all of that hardware out of my little bucket of detail fasteners that I have here. And this is literally one of my favorite things at my workbench. If somebody broke in my house, I'd be like, take all my shit, take my TV, take my cameras, take my computers, but don't take this. I've collected probably $200 worth of stuff in here. Like little bitty nuts and bolts from Scale Hardware, little resin things from Master Club, just all kinds of fantastic stuff. And it's really good. You never know when something like this is going to come in handy, and it may not be in the obvious place. One of the things that I've been working pretty hard on is getting the nose mounted on my Tamiya Spitfire project, and that has not come as easily as I had hoped. You can see here that it is in fact on and looking okay, but it's been a lot of work. My plan on this thing, as I said, was to have the bottom and left side cowling pieces permanently fixed and have the top and the right side just held with the magnets. And I don't know how that's going to actually work out. for two reasons. One, the fit has not been just as great as I expected it to be. It's been a puzzle to work out. I may have the nose on this thing tilted up just ever so slightly. I don't know. There's certain clues that make me think that, other things that make me think maybe that's not what's going on. But the bottom line is I had some inconsistent gaps in a lot of weird places. Like this gap, this joint at the bottom, hopefully you can see this, where it wraps, it's a cloudy day and the light's not that great. Right there at the base of where the wing root meets that panel, I had a gap that started out at 0, and by the time it got down here to the leading edge was like 25 thousandths. So I had to lay a piece of styrene in there and shape it to fill that. It also was kind of the same in the corner of this chin piece, kind of like it is here, where I still have yet to fix it. You can kind of see what's going on there. But the worst of it was that I had about a 20 thousandths gap at the back of the chin piece, and it was not level all the way across. By the time I got it mounted on there and had this whole side with a nice even gap, it just wasn't level. So I had to do quite a bit of filling there. So this is a combination of styrene sheet that I put on there to do the bulk of it, because it's basically 0 height over here and about 1 millimeter over here. Then I also added in some sprue goo, got all that smoothed down. And, it worked great. Sprue goo was as lovely as ever for that effort. But as much as I like to give some people a ration for always wanting to use super glue as a filler, I do sometimes use it because it is sometimes the right thing. You will sometimes get some little pinholes with sprue goo. You can see some there. And extra thin CA is a great thing to use as a quick spot filler for stuff like that. You just put it in there, and then 10 minutes later you sand it off, and you're all good. But I also used CA as the final filler for this joint, because it just wasn't perfect when I got it all together. I did most of the body work with this chin piece off, but ultimately there came a point where I had to marry it to the rest of the thing, and the gap just wasn't the way I wanted it, so I ended up filling it with super glue and then scribing it with a razor saw and then re-riveting it. And the point about using hardware from my little box that you might not intuitively look for is because I blew away some of the Zeus fasteners there. You can see that. And I had to replace those with something, and I got a couple of neat little washers off of this fantastic photo etch sheet from Top Studio. You can see it's got a bunch of different sizes, and it's awesome because this is photo etch that has film on the back of it, so there's no attachment point on the fret. You just pop them off and use them. I mean, just awesome. Such a lifesaver. So that's what's been going on with the Spitfire and the Monkey. I just took a break to just do some pure painting. I wanted to do just painting, and so I got this figure out of the box. This is the Young Miniatures Flying Tiger Pilot. I had taken him to Panama with me, thinking that I would have a lot of downtime, and that just sitting in my hotel room that I would do some figure painting. But between the light in the hotel room being terrible and the Joe Sonja acrylics that I took with me being unfamiliar and me feeling like ass most of the time, I just didn't work on it. And honestly, I couldn't work on this for a long time because it kind of brought me as close to PTSD as I ever come, because it just reminded me of how hard that trip was. But about a week ago, I got it out, and you can see I've been doing a bunch of work on it. Trying to give him a very distressed leather-looking jacket where maybe his parachute straps have been rubbing on there. I did my best with the Chinese writing. I used a picture to go off of and drew those on with a pencil before I committed to some black ink with a .05 millimeter archival ink pen. It worked pretty good. You can see though I didn't get my letter spacing right, so I had to put a little dot in there just to kind of even things up. You know, sometimes you have to do silly things to make stuff look right. So I'm pretty happy with the way that part of him at least is going. His head is also in process, and I've basically got you know, the helmet, the goggles all blocked in, the flesh tone all blocked in. The eyes are about as close to done as they're gonna get. I think I need to spiff up the pupils a little bit. You know, they don't look so great magnified on camera, but it is what it is. I mean, I suck at this, so I just have to do my best with figure painting, and especially with eyeballs. But what's next for that is shading. All of those colors are acrylics that are then I do my oils directly on top of those, at least for the first layer. And then as I want to protect each thing that I've done, I will lock it in with a layer of aqua gloss, and then come back with a layer of dull coat to give me that nice traction surface for working the oils on, because I like to work oils on a perfectly matte surface. So anyway, that's a bunch of stuff, and it is a little over 10 minutes. So that's enough. Adios.